Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2024 release Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. And based off this title, I think we're going to get a Beetlejuice, maybe even next year. I don't know. I think it did relatively well in theaters, but I do think this was solid. I didn't love this film, but I'll get into that in a second as I go through all the other stuff with it. I did watch this on Max, so just know when I'm doing this review, it's streaming on Max, so you can check it out there if you're so inclined. Real quick, though, support my channel by hitting the subscription button. Also, if you want to pitch in monetarily a little bit a month for some perks with the channel, there's a link in the description that you can see, what tiers I have and what you get for that. Thumbs up on this video is always helpful with that YouTube algorithm. And if you want to know when I'm putting up new videos, hit the notification bell button. That out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Beetlejuice, directed by, obviously, Tim Burton, who did the original Beetlejuice, which is awesome. Love the original Beetlejuice. I even watched the Beetlejuice cartoon when I was growing up, and that one was good, too. Although, that's through the eyes of a child, so I haven't watched it since I've been an adult, so it might be terrible. I don't know. Maybe someone can verify for me and put it in the comments. Is it still great? I don't know. But the last few things that Tim Burton did before doing Beetlejuice were a bunch of episodes of the Wednesday TV show that was on Netflix, which I've heard good things. And my sister was telling me, you and your wife really need to watch this. And she was like, you both would really like it. And I know I probably would, but just haven't gotten there yet. Will at some point. Dumbo, the movie Dumbo he did recently. And then the last one that I saw of his, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which I actually saw at my local drive-in theater, and that was a fun experience. That was a good movie. I really liked it. It did a great job of being like a kid's movie, but not too much of a kid's movie, so it is like kind of actually creepy and scary. Enjoyed that. This film was written by Michael McDowell, who wrote the script for Thinner, which is a very underrated film. Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, and the original Beetlejuice. Also, Larry Wilson, who also worked on the original Beetlejuice, The Addams Family, the first one, which is an awesome film, and The Little Vampire, which I have not seen, and Alfred Gough, who worked on the Wednesday TV show, some episodes of Smallville, Spider-Man 2, and Herbie Fully Loaded. Had to throw that one in there. So, quick synopsis. Don't really need to give much. It is a follow-up to the original Beetlejuice film. It's many decades later after Lydia Dietz has grown up and now she's actually living her life as this kind of like medium in a sense. She has her own show. She has a husband who's it appears he's either director or producer or both on that show. And they're planning on getting married and everything. She has a daughter at that point from a man who had already passed away. So there's this kind of issue with like the daughter played by Jenna Ortega, who is upset with her mother because her father's gone and they just haven't dealt with it very well, especially not together. So there's kind of a theme of that going on with the film. But then you also have Lydia's mother, who is played by Catherine O'Hara, who is the best part of this film, I will say. I think she is wonderful performance-wise. I think she does a phenomenal job. She always does, but I liked her a lot in this film. My favorite performances in this film were Catherine O'Hara as Lydia's mother, Justin Theroux as Lydia's fiance, and Jenna Ortega as Lydia's daughter. Those were my favorite performances. But, Beetlejuice ends up eventually showing up in this, and it's, some afterlife hijinks. And I don't want to give too much away if you do want to see it, because there are a bunch of surprises in the film. And it's decent. It's solid. I'm not, like, the biggest fan of this film, but for a sequel to a very beloved film, it's not bad, honestly. It's pretty solid. So that's all I'll say as far as synopsis goes. Immediately in this film, as it gets going, you recognize that wonderful Danny Elfman score, and the score is so amazing. Anything Danny Elfman does pretty much is phenomenal, and it's no different with this. It feels like the original score. It basically is, in certain instances, the original score, with some changes, and it's good. It's great. I just love that music. Winona Ryder's performance as Lydia Dietz, pretty wooden. She hasn't been a great actor for a while, in my opinion. I know people were really praising her in her performance for Stranger Things series. I didn't think she was that great in Stranger Things, and I think she's even less so in this film, unfortunately. The other problem is you have so many other strong actors around her that it makes her look even worse, in my opinion. But I know there's some other people who really enjoy what she did with this role in this film, so opinions. There's a new character introduced early on who is very interesting, in my opinion. Part of the reason is that she's played by Monica Bellucci, and is still my heart. All about Monica Bellucci, I always have been. Ever since I saw her in The Matrix when I was younger, and I was like, who is that woman? And she's still ravishing, which is wild. One of those Helen Mirren types, just seems to just keep being attractive as she gets much older. That's great. Great for her. All the afterlife stuff in this film is where the enjoyment is. The real life stuff, the real life drama, I think is actually kind of boring. I think they end up focusing on it way too much, and they just go too far down those roads where they really don't need to. They could have left a lot of that stuff a little more surface level, a little more vague, and just gone deeper into all the afterlife fun, because that's where the fun of the film is. You don't need to try and say too much in a sequel like this, because it's about Beetlejuice. It's about the relationship between Lydia and Beetlejuice being rekindled after so many decades. The way they chose to take this, and I think part of the reason is they're trying to create a lot of backstory and like a more rich story for the Jenna Ortega character, because they want to kind of hand off the torch maybe and see like, oh, could we make this a much bigger franchise? Because, Hollywood's always thinking about the green. But it's too much. It also feels like they just try and throw so many things in that you're just like, it's overflowing with ideas that don't get enough time on the screen. And so it feels a little half-baked at times, unfortunately. Michael Keaton is still a convincing Beetlejuice, but the best performances are Jenna Ortega, Catherine O'Hara, Justin Theroux, in my opinion. Plus, they also have interesting characters. Not only is there a reference to Mario Bava in this film, but specifically his film Kill Baby Kill, which I love. It's one of my favorite Bava films. So, first of all, when they said Mario Bava, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, again, like the Monica Bellucci thing, bestow my heart. Mario Bava. And then they were like, they talked about Kill Baby Kill, and I was like, nobody talks about Kill Baby Kill, especially not in movies. And it's a phenomenal film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Just a little side thing for Bava nerds like me. Just had to throw that in there. The set design and costuming is great. I mean, you would assume that because that's the way it was in the original Beetlejuice. It is the same here. Great costuming, great practical effects, great set. Love the way the afterlife world looks and all the characters in the afterlife. That's why I said that's where the fun is. That's where all the interesting stuff is. You have so much to look at when you're there. Plus, you get that interesting direction and cinematography from Tim Burton that he always has. This very like dark but also colorful at the same time. So it's like kind of horror but like cartoonish at the same time, which I love. It does get to a point where it feels like they try to put too much in the script. It makes it feel a bit unfocused at times. Yeah. Just to expand on that a little bit more, they actually have these times where there's a part of a story that you've gotten and it's just been so long, and then they come back to it and you're just like, oh, I forgot about that because I was focused on this, which is way more interesting and we spent way more time on. So there's a bunch of that goes on where you're just like you're not even spending enough time on some of these things. They just shouldn't even be in there, to be honest. It makes me wonder how long the script was of the first draft. Must have been pretty massive. The ending is okay. It's not a great ending. It's not a terrible ending. It's pretty middling. So I was just like, eh. So out of 5 stars, half stars, and play, I'm going to give this a decent enough 3-star rating. I do still think it's worth seeing if you saw the trailer and you were interested in it, or if you're a big Beetlejuice fan. I don't think you'll be hating it. I think you'll find plenty of stuff to actually enjoy with it. And I don't know about getting another one after this as far as the quality of it based off of what was happening here. They tend to keep stepping down, so I don't want them to go too much further, but we'll see. Anyway, would love to hear other people's opinions on this, especially if you've seen it. We can do spoilers in the comments. Go ahead and do that. And yeah, thank you so much for taking your time to watch this. I appreciate that. And until next time, keep it brutal.